Hello guys and welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be going over my first impressions over the new Guardians. This video will just cover Wally and the following video will cover Simba, and hopefully I'll get some gameplay for you as soon as I can. So let's just quickly go through his design first. His design is pretty interesting. He's got a similar design to Mike, as in that aesthetic. He's got like damaged armor. He's got the little broom behind him or whatever that is. He's got twitching solar panels and some plants. Pretty cool, but I'm not sure how I feel about it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he actually feels when you're fighting him. I don't know how he's going to actually hit. Are those rocket launchers? I doubt it, but he may be a ranged tank. But let's just move on to his core ability. So he's immune to wound and poison. That's to be expected. He is a robot, and Wally cannot be healed by allies or other effects. So he must have some sort of self-heal if he has that. So when Wally is the target of a heal effect, he gains 5% armor. That's interesting. So he's not healing from allies and he's just gaining armor. So you possibly don't want to be using a support guardian with him, but maybe you want to use a support guardian that doesn't specialize in heal. For example, maybe a Tiana, and maybe someone that focuses on boosting buffs, like Hero doesn't have the strongest heal, but that is going to be really interesting. So whenever any buff on Wally expires, he gains 5% armor. So he gains armor through that as well. And every 10 seconds, Wally gains a 5% defense buff for 10 seconds. So basically every 10 seconds, he's gaining 5% armor passively. But obviously you got to wait 20 seconds for the first 5% armor to proc. So now let's just move on to his special ability. Okay, this is where he gains the bulk of his armor. Wally gains 5% defense buffs for 5 seconds. This means that he's basically getting 25% armor every special ability, which is pretty good. I like it when there's a set percentage and it's just a lot more easier that way. Then Wally, alright, so he also knocks enemies around him, which is going to be good when you're using maybe a Stitch, because that 18-second cooldown is just too long, and obviously you want to have a second interrupt in some cases, so that's going to be useful. Alright, there's a lot of healing on this signature ability. So when Wally is the target of a heal effect, he gains a heal charge. Alright, yeah. And if Wally uses his special ability when he has 3 heal charges, all heal charges are removed and he is healed 25. Okay. The 25% is a lot of HP, but you do need to wait for your healer to proc 3 times. So you primarily want to use a healer that has a lower cooldown. I think the lowest is probably 9 seconds, or maybe 12 actually. So you're going to have to wait 26 seconds or even 27 seconds or 36 seconds for Wally to be healed at all. But you're probably hoping for that armor to tick him over, so then he can heal the damage that he has taken before he's been able to gain a lot of armor. And possibly you may want to consider controlling him at the start so he can gain that armor without losing too much health. Alright, that's going to be interesting. Alright, so at least he has a self-heal mechanic. Maybe his talents make it stronger. And another issue I have with this is 25% is a lot for sure, but that's at level 100. Hopefully it's something like 20%. I don't know if that's me being too hopeful. 20% at level 1 and it goes up by 5% over 99 levels, but we'll just have to see. Alright, so now his basic talent grants 20% defense, and his basic attacks break chromostones in a single hit. That's very interesting because we haven't really seen chromostones a lot. They've also removed Baloo's talent that had some relation to do with chromostones, so maybe they're possibly thinking about adding chromostones to raids, maybe, which is, and plus it's a secondary effect, so this talent isn't completely to do with chromostones. So I do think that chromostones are going to be a lot more prevalent in raid rifts. Maybe we'll just have to see. And now his second basic talent grants 20% health at the start of an encounter. As standard, if an enemy with a shock is defeated, Wally gains 1 junk buff. Okay, why is a junk buff? Let me just press it. A buff unique to Wally. Junk buffs are treated as 0% attack buffs. So this is very similar to Jack Skellington's trick buffs. So it doesn't really have any Oh, actually, that's going to be another source of armor, because after that expires, he's going to gain 5% armor, which is pretty good. So he may work well with a guardian that shocks, like maybe Eve or even a Maleficent. Or he just applies shock through another one of his talents. But that is something to take note of. So that basically might make Eve a lot better, but it doesn't really improve her, it just improves Wally. So we'll have to see. Alright, now his first advanced talent. Whenever an enemy with a buff is defeated, Wally has a 100% chance to gain a junk buff. Obviously, it is only 100% chance at level 8, but that is another decent talent. I'm not sure what I'm going to be running with him, because he's got a lot of pretty decent talents, and we just have gotten through the first 3. Right, now the next one, whenever an ally buff expires or is purged, Wally gains 5% armor. Okay, I think this is one of the ones I'll be running, because you've always got buff expiring with your allies, and 5% armor every single time is pretty good, especially when, but obviously remember that's at max level, so it's probably going to be lower at level 1, but that reuse is definitely one I'm going to be using. Recycle. If an enemy has a buff removed or purged, Wally has a 100% chance to gain another junk buff. Okay, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be using that talent, to be honest. But let's move on to the final talent, I believe. Yeah. So each time an enemy debuff is removed, expired, or is cleansed, Wally has a 100% chance to gain another junk buff. If an enemy has a buff purge, Wally grants them 5% armor. Okay, that's interesting. He's got a lot to do with junk buffs. And the max stack is... I wonder if the max stack is universal and you can only have 10, or 10 from each source. That's going to be another interesting thing to test. So it looks like I'll be using Junk Collector, Reuse, and maybe Rubberized Underlay if I'm using a person that shocks. But if I'm not using a person that shocks, I might use one of Reduce or Recycle. It's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait to test him out very soon with all the team comms, maybe his 1v1 capabilities, because he does seem like a very, very tanky guardian. When it comes to his tier list placement, I'm not really sure. It may be counterintuitive that he's unable to heal and you need to wait like 30 plus seconds or whatever for him to actually get his first heal. But it's gonna be interesting. Let's see the support guardians actually. If I go to support, oh, new UI. If I go to abilities, yeah, no, oops, special, 15 seconds cooldown. That's 45 seconds. That's 30 seconds. But if you're using Mickey, you've got that cooldown, I guess. That's another 45 seconds. As you can see, like, that's 36 seconds. 45 seconds with Frank as well. So there you go. That's my first impression. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you